In this episode, it's all about my nutrition connection, Janice Baker. This is the Happy Diabetic Kitchen, the podcast about people who love to eat and cook healthy. This is your guide to the world of healthy cooking and conversation about happy diabetic living and lifestyles, where we turn ordinary ingredients into something extraordinary. Welcome to the kitchen and let's get cooking. Hello everyone, I am Chef Robert Lewis, the Happy Diabetic, and this is the internet's most delicious cooking podcast. I'm here in the kitchen getting ready to explore a healthy diabetic lifestyle. Look, I want to take the mystery out of healthy cooking, and I want to explore some amazing foods and my diabetic journey with my successes and my challenges. So, welcome to the Happy Diabetic Kitchen. I'm so happy you're here. And if you're new to the show, hey, welcome. And with me in the kitchen, as always, is my amazing son, Jason, engineer, producer of the podcast. Hey, Jace, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. How's it going?
Good, really good. So let's just quickly talk about cold, right? So has it been cold outside or what?
It's been insane.
Insane. Here, we live in Iowa, about 2 hours from Chicago. We've had 25 below evenings in the last week. Crazy.
Yeah, it's been scary.
Yeah, really scary. I mean, we're just not built for that around here. I've not seen as much snow on the ground for years. How about you?
Yeah, no, we've had some mild winters, and it's just kind of getting back to real winter now for us.
Yeah. But better days are coming. Spring's around the corner, so they say. And we're excited about that. So welcome to the kitchen. In today's kitchen, I want to talk about my new normal. And I'll just say one word about my new normal, and that would be insulin. We also have an amazing interview with Janice Baker, my nutrition connection. Janice is with Baker Nutrition from beautiful San Diego, California, where it's probably 70 degrees. Oh my gosh. And we also have a really great recipe of the podcast, a very rustic, simple, and easy whole roasted peasant style fish. And we have an amazing because of my diabetes story today and much, much more. So what do you think, Jason? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I think let's get cooking. So we're going to start off this podcast with a really great because of my diabetes story. Simply finish this statement, because of my diabetes blank. You know, something positive. Lemonade out of lemons. Maybe you met someone who's amazing, who might have made a difference in your life, or maybe who's helped you. Tell us your story. Head over to happydiabetic.com and hit the send voicemail link button and record your story. This episode is one of my favorites because the person who's left the message is actually a good friend of mine, Randall Brown. Randall was a Vietnam veteran from January 1967 to February 9th, 1968. He's an amazing human being, and I guess if this is politically correct, a great diabetic. So Randall, hit it.
Hi, my name is Randall Brown, and my diabetes has been around me for 51 years. But I've overcome everything that is thrown at me over the years. That's with all the health problems. This past year, I just had 2 open heart surgeries, and I'm back up and going again. I'm walking. I used to walk 15 miles a day. They cut me back, and now I'm back up to 5 to 7 miles a day. I'm eating healthy again and trying to get everything back in order, because diabetes can throw you some fastballs. But if you're a good hitter, you can meet that, hit a home run, and keep on going. My health is very important to me, and diabetes can affect every part of your body, can affect you in every way, but you can overcome it if you just listen to all your good advice you get from your chefs, your consultants, your doctors, and all those good people. And I've done that, and that's kept me going. I'm now 72 years old and going to live for another 20, 30, 40 years, and diabetes is not going to beat me.
Hey, Randall, thanks so much. You are a rock star. And hey, thank you for your service. So we're into a new year, and I have a new normal. So I've been taking Victoza and Ozempic, which is a type 2 drug, injectable, once a week, once a day, depending on whether it was Victoza and now Ozempic, which is a once a week, amazing diabetic drug. Been on that for a couple years. Had amazing, amazing results. Well, my doctor gave me the diagnosis today. I'm going to be taking insulin. Hooray for me, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so this is the day I knew would come because most type 2s eventually end up taking insulin. And it's something that I've talked to people a lot about. But here I am sitting in the doctor's office now, my doc telling me it's time for me to take insulin. So a little taken back by that, but ready to rock and roll. So I'm taking Novolog, which is a very fast-acting insulin that I take before every meal, which means I've got to really get on my counting the carbs habit. So I take it before each meal after I calculate my carbohydrate intake. Jason, have you ever heard of FitnessPal?
I think I have, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a good app, and you can calculate carbohydrates and calories and protein. So I use it for calculating my carbohydrates. FitnessPal, you can download it at the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. It's my new best friend. So imagine this now, checking my carbohydrates and adjusting my amount of insulin that I take. So I know that checking my blood sugars way more often is my new normal. So prior to this new normal of insulin, I was taking my blood sugars twice, 3 times a day. So now I'm really up to 5 to 7 to 10 times a day because I'm just super hyper proactive about making sure my blood sugars are in line and seeing what the insulin is doing. So I want to see how my insulin is affecting my readings and the foods that I eat, how it affects it. So my reality, well, the longer someone has type 2 diabetes, the more likely they require insulin. But more about that to come when we talk with my endocrinologist in our next episode. But today, I've got a very, very special interview with my good friend, Janice Baker. She's a RD, a CDE, a CNSC. So Janice is going to tell us a little bit about herself, what she does, and she's an amazing nutritionist. She's just unbelievable. So, hey, listen, quit the stalling, Chef Robert. Let's get right into it. So, hey, Janice, welcome to the show.
So, welcome, happy diabetics. We have an amazing person on the phone for our interview today. So, Janice, let me ask you this question before we get ready. Are you ready to get happy?
I am always ready to get happy. Call me anytime.
Awesome. Well, today we have Janice Baker. Now, Janice is a registered dietitian, certified diabetes educator, and so much more. And what I'd really like you to do, Janice, is why don't you just fill in the blanks for all the happy diabetics listening on the podcast today?
Sure thing. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. I've loved working with Robert and working at events with him. I have been a registered dietitian since 1983. I'm also a certified nutrition support clinician, a certified diabetes educator, and board certified in advanced diabetes management. So over the past over 3.5 decades, I've seen a lot of great things, a lot of changes in diabetes management, nutrition care, And I never get tired of teaching classes and helping our patients and our community learn how to take good care of themselves. And there's so many more great things that are out there today to help them, but I also know there's a lot of confusion. So that's part of my passion too, is to help undo the confusion.
The one thing I like about you, Janice, and thank you for the nice words. We have worked a lot, and you are amazing.
Yeah.
But you know how to take the mystery out of confusion, especially when it comes to nutrition and foods and fad diets and, those kinds of things. You're really great at that. So I hope we can explore a little bit about that. But before we get started,
sure.
I want to talk turtles because I know you have a passion for turtles. And
I do.
I love turtles. I grew up with turtles. And I noticed on your Instagram post you have a lot of turtle action. So why don't you just tell everybody very quickly, what about this passion for turtles?
Well, it comes from, it was a long time ago. My son, who's 28 now, when he was about 7, he said, "Mom, I want a turtle." So I'm a very responsible pet owner, and I have a huge passion for animals in general. So I said, okay, we're going to really look into this. We want to make sure and be good, responsible pet owners. So I did research. I joined the San Diego Turtle and Tortoise Society, making sure that if we were going to commit to a pet that lives a long time, we were going to take care of it the right way. So past 21 years, they're actually tortoises, the Russian tortoises. I adopted them through the San Diego Turtle and Tortoise Society. I still have them living in my backyard. My husband built a nice enclosure, and I love them. They are so sweet. They have their own personalities. They're vegetarians, so we feed them good, healthy veggies like kale, green beans, broccoli, lettuces, and they hibernate during the winter, so their physiology is very unique to them. They know how to take care of themselves. So they're great, sweet animals, but they are a long-term commitment because they live a long time. But, I think that's one of those things in life to have is when you have something else in life to focus on, your passion, it takes your mind off of stress in the day. It gives you perspective on the beauty of nature. So that's why I love them so much.
Yeah. Yeah, they're amazing creatures. Well, Janice, let me ask you this question. I've heard you speak many times, and I've heard you quote things many times, but do you have a favorite, success quote?
Success quote, there's different things, but, one of my favorite ones for myself personally as a professional is, if you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room. I really have a passion for, continuing my education, learning all the time, even though I've been out of college for a long time. I'm always learning because the research and the science behind diabetes and nutrition is always improving. And certainly when I work with my patients teaching classes, I am certainly not, even though I'm the instructor, I'm not the smartest one in the room. My patients and the attendees know their bodies the best. They know their lives the best. So I actually learn as much from them as probably more so than they do from me. And that's why I love working with people in a class setting or one-on-one, because they give me insights into the reality of living with diabetes or other medical issues.
I think that's the key, living in the reality, because so many educators and doctors don't really understand the reality of a person living with diabetes.
No, it's hard to relate to. But there's so much going on in people's minds when they hear, "Oh, you have diabetes." I just have an example today. I heard from a patient in my class saying, "I got a message on my answering machine that says your A1C is 6.8. Don't eat carbs." That is all that she got, and I was appalled.
Yeah,
that's not how you tell somebody things. This is a real story. You hear that, what are you supposed to think? What are you supposed to do?
Right.
So, I'm glad I heard that, because I couldn't even imagine that being left on an answering machine.
Yeah, it's sort of like the person that came up to me one time at a conference and said, "Hey, Robert, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and my doctor told me I no longer can eat raspberries ever again."
Oh.
And this is someone who doesn't have diverticulitis or doesn't have a particular illness. This is what the doctor's answer. I have no idea. Which is really why, Janice, you're an amazing person, because you know how to take the mystery. And we're going to get into that even more, but
Okay.
you're just so good at that. So tell everybody, how'd you get started? How did you get interested in diabetic education?
How did I get started? It goes a long way back. I remember when I was a little girl, maybe 7 or 8, and my grandfather was visiting, and, I was eating some Oreos, which are lovely cookies.
Love
and
those.
I said, Grandpa, here, have an Oreo. And I said, I can't, I have diabetes. Well, this was in the 60s. It's the first time I heard that word. But then my father, when I was in high school, I remember watching him just drink and drink and drink fluids and just not feel good. And then one day he came home with a book on diabetic exchanges and some syringes. And I just saw them sitting there on the desk. I didn't know what that was. Then I went away to school, to college, and I came back a few months later. I saw him really look like a different person, not in a good way. He lost a lot of weight, not in a good way. And again, I wasn't educated. I didn't know what I was seeing, but now I do know what I was seeing. So I saw my father over the next 25 years or so struggling with diabetes, not having education, not knowing about what blood sugar meant. We didn't have glucose meters then. And so I saw him suffer with the complications, really very mysterious to him. And I thought, wow, this is profoundly, it made such an impact on his life. So as I started my career after college, I worked in a camp for kids with diabetes. I learned about it. This was again in the early 80s. And of course, as time went on, diabetes diagnoses increased. We learned more about it. I was so fortunate to be able to work with some of the best endocrinologists in the world that are here in San Diego on different projects and dealing with patient education. So it evolved because I just happened to be there with the situations, learning from patients in a hospital setting, working with Dr. Steve Edelman at TCOYD from way back. It just evolved because I was working in that space. And again, it's still, evolving because of the changes that we're seeing.
Well, awesome. So in your mind, what do you think is the biggest challenge people living with diabetes face today?
Well, I honestly think it's the overwhelming amount of both information and misinformation. And it's so hard for the layperson to sift through that, translate to what's right for them, because things sound very convincing. They're afraid. They want to live a healthy life. But again, it's one of those things like, who do you believe? Unfortunately, not as many people as should have access to somebody like a certified diabetes educator or a registered dietitian. And diabetes is a big business. There's a lot of predatory practices on follow this diet, follow that diet. And again, people are very afraid, and then they get overwhelmed, and then they don't want to have anything to do with it. So they take a holiday from taking care of themselves, and then it gets even to a worse place. So even with all we know today, I deal with patients every day who just want to know, what does this number mean? Why do I take this medicine? How do I keep myself safe? It's just translating the information and breaking down what really doesn't make sense.
Right. So Janice, you don't know this about me because this is very new reality for me.
Oh.
But I went to see my endocrinologist at the beginning of the year, and we agreed it was time to start insulin. How about that? So
I think that's amazing. That's great.
I do too. And it's so funny because I knew this day would come, and sure enough, now the day has come. And so I am becoming a carb counting expert, more so than I've ever had to do, because I'm taking a fast-acting insulin that I take before my meals. And so, it's been kind of my new norm.
Yeah, it's an adjustment, that's for sure. Because,
it is.
We have some amazing new therapies just in the past few years that we've seen some great advances in how we take care of diabetes between medications and technology. But we also realize, as I explained to my very big class today, diabetes changes over time, just like our eyes change and just like our hair color changes. It changes as time goes on. Naturally, it doesn't mean you've done anything wrong, and unfortunately, people are often told, oh, well, if you don't do this, you're going to be on insulin. That is such a wrong message to put across.
Yeah.
It just means your body's changing, and this is the best fit. It's also good to know that insulin is the most natural way to control diabetes. It's just adding to what your body already makes. It's like giving your hair color a root touch-up, you know, when it's gray in the roots and you want to keep it that. And we can adjust the volume to what we need. However, you know, insulin needs to be respected. It's an outside source of insulin. It does have a mind of its own. But on the other hand, we can be flexible with it, and with the new devices we have to monitor ourselves, you know, we have more real-time feedback, so we can keep in a safe zone. When I first started diabetes, I remember clearly we had old insulins that don't even are not even existing anymore. They were completely unpredictable. We never knew what your body was doing. We got in dangerous situations. So fortunately, we have even much better insulins to work around our needs, which is a blessing, actually.
Yes. And so many times, people that I know, and of course now, if the shoe fits, here I am, you know, people see insulin as I'm a failure. I have to take insulin because I failed. And it's funny, too, because I have someone at work, and I had mentioned the fact that I'm taking insulin, and their first reaction was almost, although they didn't really call me a loser failure, but their body language said, oh, you failed. And I had to explain to them that, no, not really. So,
yeah,
you know, I guess
a lot of ignorance. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think I want to let people know that it's not about failure. It's just your body evolving, and it is what it is.
Yeah, what they call you failure if you needed a stronger eyeglass prescription. This is the same thing.
See, where were you? Where were you when I needed you? That's a perfect analogy.
It's really the same thing. You need a stronger pair of eyeglasses.
Yeah.
Are you going to beat yourself up over that? No. It's no different.
Right.
We could tell a 3-year-old that just got diagnosed with diabetes, oh, you're a failure. You wouldn't do that because you know that's not the truth.
Right.
It's no different. So, but it's so sad that that's used, and it's even sometimes used by physicians, I'm sorry to say, who are not, you know, updated in things. And so we have this opportunity to educate people, and they need that. It's not, you know, it's not their fault that they're getting, you know, poor information they remember a long time ago from their relatives. You hang on to these old falsities that are out there.
Yeah.
So we have opportunities to educate people, and they can go, oh, I didn't know that. So we have opportunities, which is good.
Yeah. That is awesome. So, I mean, you are an influencer. I mean, you really are. And again, I've seen you speak many times, and you have got this amazing gift. But what's the one thing that really gets you excited about your influence in the diabetic community? I mean, what's the one thing that's really getting you going there?
Well, what I really love about this is, you know, my passion is to unravel the fear and anxiety that people have because it's so prevalent. One of the biggest things people are afraid of is food, which is wrong. Food is awesome. Food's the quality of life. Food is meant to be enjoyed. You know, when I was educated and trained in the early 80s, it was a very different thing. We were taught as you know, dietetic interns, well, you have to educate everyone on diabetes on the exchange system, and they have to know how many exchange they have per meal. I'm so glad I went through that to realize how bad that was. But now we know, and this is in the scientific standards of care. I'm very passionate about keeping up with science, so I just read through all that release a month ago, is that we know that when we're talking about food and eating and nutrition, We have to consider people's realities, their culture, their budget, whether they like to cook, what their nutritional status is. So many things. We need to respect patients' realities and remember that there's no perfect. Remember that there's no one right way to eat. Remember that people have different struggles and goals. Some people live alone. Some people have a big family. Some people are young and athletic. Some people are seniors. And as a registered dietitian, I weed in all those other factors. What some people may not know is that overlapping with diabetes and nutrition, I look out for malnutrition. That's a very big deal. Big part of my practice is people with poor nutritional status, either because of other issues going on with their medical status, poor eating habits for whatever reason, lack of access to good food, like food insecurity. There's malnutrition out there. That's part of the problem, actually. And there's also disordered eating and eating disorders. I work a lot in that space too, brought upon by maybe years of chronic dieting or, emotional eating issues. There's a lot of overlap that sometimes is not recognized and honestly sometimes made worse by recommendations, which, I see that playing out. So, it's more nuanced than many people realize.
Interesting. My listeners always are asking for recipes, book recommendations, and things like that. So how about you? I mean, would there be a book you could recommend to the Happy Diabetic Nation out there that they might enjoy reading about eating? I love your cookbooks. They're fun and they're wonderful and cooking is fun. Cooking should be fun and it doesn't need to be complicated. I'm a pretty simple cook, but I love playing with my food and just getting basic cooking skills down and then adding your own flair to it. So you have some go-to recipes. Sure.
Listen, there's a lot of wonderful appliances out there, but my thing is the 9x12 glass baking dish, a knife, a cutting board, and my oven. That's all I pretty much use. My sons who are adults, they're getting into cooking. They're both engineers, but they're getting into cooking. They have the Instapot, they have the other things. They're having a good time with cooking. But I really like a good knife, a good cutting board, my 9x12 baking dish, some other roasting pans. I like to put everything in the oven because then I don't have to watch it. And I like to cook for at least 2 meals, so I have some leftovers another time. And that's pretty much how I roll. I cook like for people who don't want to fool around. I cook very simply because I realize many, many people just don't have the time or energy to do a lot. So I try to, that's just sort of how I roll. But on the other hand, one of my favorite books to recommend, it is really nothing to do with diabetes or a recipe book because there's wonderful ones out there like yours, which I'd love to recommend. But a book I really love is written by one of my colleagues who's a registered dietitian, her and her colleague. The book is called Intuitive Eating. It is not a diet book. It is not this is what you eat and this is bad to eat book. Intuitive Eating is written by one of the authors. Her name is Evelyn Tribole, Tribole. She's a registered dietitian. And I read this book, and then I read it 3 times. And it breaks down for many people, not just how you eat, but your relationship with food, why diets don't work, why we have this society and the stigma about eating and body image and weight that really gets in the way of taking care of ourselves. So I do recommend that a lot because not just how people eat, but their relationship with food has really been messed up with a lot of the information out there. So it helps people see things about food and eating in a better perspective, I think a much healthier perspective, and it helps people take care of themselves, which self-care is not just eating, but it's all kinds of other things that help us be more physically active in a nice way, not torturing ourselves, good sleep, other self-care and healthcare behaviors that are all part of diabetes management.
Yeah, awesome. I've seen her website. It's very cool. Evelyn, do you pronounce it Tribole?
Tribole, that's how I
Tribole.
pronounce it.
Yeah, so EvelynTribble.com. Cool website, very awesome. So, giving us a path to success, I mean, is really, I think, key for people in our space to help people, to not stumble and not fail. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, we're all going to stumble.
Okay. I think that's
okay
reality.
Too.
It is okay.
That's okay
You're right.
too.
You're right. Yeah. So I know you love to eat. I know I love to eat. So when you go out to your favorite hometown restaurant, what do you love to order? What do you like to eat?
Well, what I absolutely love is things that I really can't make because I don't have the skill or talent. So I actually really love, ethnic food. One of my favorites is Indian food because it is so interesting and it's got amazing spices and flavors and stuff that, I couldn't even begin to start. So Indian food to me is wonderful because of just the dimension, the flavor. They use wonderful vegetables and spices and sauces. But I really enjoy, we have here in San Diego, we have a lot of Vietnamese restaurants. We have sort of a Vietnamese area. There's a lot of different ethnic food, Japanese. So I really do enjoy the very authentic types of ethnic restaurants. Of course, we have wonderful Mexican food too.
That you
that
do.
goes with the territory. So I think that's a lot of fun. And the point is too is that there is so much healthful qualities to different ethnic cuisines. Eating healthfully does not need to be boring at all. And I think that's part of the fun of eating.
Cool. Yeah, I like, there's a great restaurant in San Diego called World Curry, which I really like. I love curry. Yeah, that's really awesome. So let me ask you this question. What do you wish you had known when you started out in this career of nutrition and helping people?
Well, that's so interesting because when I started, it was, again, the early 80s. Very interesting time for many reasons. But I wish I had known. I mean, I just didn't realize how much I would still be enjoying my career just because of all of the wonderful people I've met, like you, that I'd be working with, and how diverse and different it was going to be. Of course, as time goes on, from that point, I didn't realize how prevalent diabetes would be. And again, the impact, this is before the internet, of things like social media and all the influences. Even if I would have known, I don't know what I could do about it. So, what do you do if you know that's coming? I'm sort of glad I didn't know. But rolling with it, showing up to meetings where you meet people that you can learn from, which is what I continue to do. Asking questions, it's just always asking questions and finding out how things are approached. But we do see what I was talking about today, even though, yes, we have a lot of advances, there's still a lot of struggles with access to care for people, accessing healthcare providers, accessing their medicines, accessing technology, even though we have it. There's a lot of obstacles to which we need better answers for.
Right. Interesting. So if you could send a message to yourself 10 years ago, what would you tell the younger Janice?
The younger Janice. Well, I'd say just keep at it. Enjoy the speed bumps. Just keep reading. I'm a big reader. I love to read about research in my profession. That includes nutrition support. I do a lot of reading and work with people who have other issues besides diabetes, like cancer, who have severe liver, kidney problems. because everything does overlap. So it's just what I naturally fell into, reading, keeping up my credentials as I have. That takes a lot of work. I'm still working on that, retaking tests every 5 years. But the importance of reading and making sure that you're getting your information from credible resources, so you're not sidelined because of misinformation.
I find that all the time. I find that with people who come up to me and say, hey, I saw this thing on the internet. I saw this amazing supplement that will cure everything. Or I saw this amazing oil that they say if I use this to cook with exclusively, it will cure my diabetes.
Yeah, and when I hear they say, I always bring that up to my classes. Who are they? What's their agenda?
Yes, right. Exactly right. Hey, I think this is an interesting story. I think if you don't mind sharing it, but tell us what your daughter is doing.
Oh, my gosh. I am so envious of my daughter. So I'll explain. My daughter, her name is Leah. She's 22 years old. She just finished her Bachelor's of Science degree in kinesiology from the university she graduated here from in San Diego. So about a year ago, my husband, Mark, and I were in Maui for a vacation, and we heard from the concierge, oh, there's this wonderful place you have to visit. It's called the Surfing Goat Dairy Farm in Maui, some Maui. So I said, oh, well, I love goats. I'm an animal person. We went up there. It's this beautiful big goat farm. They had tours. We got to see the goats, the babies, the big ones, got to feed them, did goat cheese tasting. They have a restaurant there, a lovely restaurant. It was just beautiful. So I went back and looked on their website. I said, oh, look at that. They have these apprenticeships there. These are pretty serious apprenticeships where it's a year and they're structured. You learn animal husbandry, milking goats, baking goat cheese, food microbiology, all kinds of things. So I said to my daughter, Leah, you're graduating. You know, you're not quite sure what direction you want to go in. She's took the grad school test. And I said, well, check this out. We love animals. You know, this is Maui. Check it out. So she said, okay. She applied. She got accepted to this apprenticeship. She went about 3 weeks ago to Maui for a year. She texted me the other day. She's driving a tractor on the goat farm. She's helping milk the goats. She's helping raise the baby ones, teaching them how to drink from the bowl, then regular grass. She bottle feeds them. She helps the mamas giving birth.
That's awesome.
She's going to help making goat cheese. She's going to learn tourism. She's there in Maui for a year. So if anyone gets over to Maui and you want to visit this absolutely gorgeous goat dairy farm, it is beautiful. And they have tours there, and you can do goat cheese testing. The goat cheese is phenomenal. It's so good. So she's there for a year, which is, hey, when you're 22, why not, right?
Right. So it's the Surfing Goat Dairy Farm. Do the goats surf?
Well, you know, it's funny because where all the babies are, the little ones, they have like a playground. And they have surfboards in there. And the baby goats, if you've ever seen baby goat videos, they like to jump up and down off of things. They're like puppies. They play all day. So you can look on their website or their Facebook page and see all these little goats jumping around, hopping on and off the surfboard.
That's awesome.
It's so
well,
cute.
Janice, it's been just amazing having you here. Before we get to our Rapid Fire 411, is there anything else you want to leave the listeners? And tell us how they can find you. How can they reach out to you? Or anything else you want to say to the group? It's all you now.
Sure.
I mean,
well,
it's
listen,
been all you,
I'm always happy to hear from anyone. I do have a Facebook page. That's probably the easiest thing, Baker Nutrition on Facebook. So you can look me up. You can like my Facebook page. You can send me a message. I'm always happy to hear from anyone. I post, you know, things about nutrition and health and diabetes. I'm always happy to hear from people. I'm usually at the Taking Control of Your Diabetes conferences that are here in San Diego every fall, which is one of my favorite days of the year.
Mm-hmm. Mine too.
And it's great. But, you know, I am here in San Diego. I see patients individually and teach a lot of classes. So that's another way too. I work with a large medical group, Arch Medical Group, and Palomar Health System, which is in North County, San Diego. So, whether it's through Facebook or through taking control of your diabetes, or if you happen to be in San Diego, I'm happy to talk to anyone.
Awesome, awesome. Well, it's time for the rapid fire 411. Are you ready? So here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna ask you a series of rapid fire questions, and you just simply choose your preference. So, for example, riding a bike or hiking, something like that. So, if you're ready, let's get to it.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Olive oil or butter?
Both.
Oh, baked or fried?
There's a place for both.
Okay.
I have both on my shelf.
I do too. Baked or fried?
I would say both, too, because there's a place for both. I typically bake because I don't like, all the frying oil all over the place. But I celebrate Hanukkah. So when we do latkes, you got to fry those babies.
You got to fry them in the oil. It's tradition. Cheerios or Captain Crunch?
Well, if you asked my 6-year-old self, it would be Captain Crunch because that was the truth.
I know. I know you like that cereal.
But today, since we're not in the 60s anymore, it would probably be Cheerios.
Yeah, if you ask
because I'm adulting now.
Yes, I get it. If you were to ask my 6-year-old self, it would be Trix.
Trix, Fruit Loops, Cocoa Puffs, I can name them all.
Yeah. Okay, waffles or pancakes?
Oh, I love pancakes. I love the softness of pancakes, and I just think they're beautiful.
Beef stew or grilled steak?
Wow. I really like that grilled steak.
Okay. Chunky or smooth peanut butter?
I like the chunky. I like the texture.
Okay. Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day?
I would go with Valentine's Day.
Okay. Are you a morning? Sure. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Absolutely morning. My husband and I were both the same. We are 4 o'clock in the morning risers.
Okay.
It's so good we're married to each other.
Perfect. Favorite vegetable?
I love eggplant.
Okay, eggplant.
I guess that's a fruit, though, because it has seeds. But maybe we can, let that slide. But
I think
eggplant is my passion. Yes.
Okay. Wow. Well, we'll have to share some eggplant recipes sometime.
Yeah.
Puppies or kittens?
Oh, gosh, that's hard to say, but I've had a lot of kitties. I love the kitties. Just because I'm a busy person, I work a lot, and kitties just tend to, they don't care. They sleep a lot. Puppies
that's
are
exactly
pretty high
right.
maintenance, but I love them. Yeah.
Bacon or ice cream?
Ice cream.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee and tea.
Okay. Buffet or sit-down dinner?
Sit down.
Superhero or supervillain?
I would say superhero because they come in many forms. Yeah.
Okay. Do you love or hate roller coasters?
18 years old, I loved them. 60 years old, no.
I hear you. Okay, and finally, if you could have dinner with anyone, past or present, who would it be?
Past or present? I would love to have dinner with Eleanor Roosevelt.
Wow. And what would be the reason? What's your reasoning there? I'm curious.
This was a quiet hero.
Okay.
She did things. She was passionate. She was authentic. She was a hero in what she did. A quiet hero, but did wonderful, amazing things for people.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, Janice Baker, diabetic educator of the world. It just was amazing to have you here today.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. It's awesome.
Sure thing.
Well, have a great rest of your day, and just just know no one loves you more than me.
Oh, you're so adorable. And you keep yourself warm.
I'll do it.
Okay,
Well, Janice,
I'll
thanks
send
so
some
much.
stuff to you.
That was really great. Thank you so
It
much.
was fun.
Yeah, that was
Okay,
good.
take care.
Okay,
I know.
Janice, take care.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
I'm getting hungry, so I think it's now time for our recipe of the podcast, my peasant whole roasted fish. What I really like about this dish, there's 14 grams of carbohydrates. So that's just an amazing low amount of carbs. So let's get ready. Super easy, super simple. Let's go over the ingredients. And this recipe is available at my website, happydiabetic.com. We're going to take 2 large red onions cut into 1/4 wedges, 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 10 ounces of fresh artichoke hearts from your garden or your farmer's market, or you can use marinated artichoke hearts or just canned artichoke hearts if you don't have the fresh. 1 cup small cherry or grape red tomatoes, 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley, 1 clove of garlic minced up nice. And I like to use either, you can use a whole bass, or in this recipe, I'm going to use 4 skinless tilapia or any other fish fillets that you might have. Simple and easy. Here we go. Let's put it together. Going to preheat the oven at 400 degrees. I'm going to combine the onions and the oil in a 13x9 baking pan. I'm going to spread an even layer, and I'm going to roast the onions until they're nice and golden, about 35 minutes. I'm going to remove them from the oven, stir in the artichokes and the tomatoes. Then in a small bowl, I'm going to mix parsley and garlic together. I'm going to set that aside because that's going on in just a moment. Now I'm going to crank up the oven temperature to 450 degrees. I'm going to push all the vegetables to one side of the dish, and I'm going to add my fish fillets. Next, I'm going to spoon the vegetables over the fish, sprinkle with my parsley and garlic mixture, return it to the oven, and roast the fish till it's nice, white, and flaky. Really about 8 to 10 minutes. Super easy, super delicious. This will be 4 servings, about 392 calories, 14 grams of carbohydrates, 6.1 grams of fiber, and 34 grams of protein. My peasant roasted fish. Check it out at my website, happydiabetic.com. Be sure to follow me on all my social links. You'll find them all at happydiabetic.com. Just look for all my links at the top right-hand side of the page. And hey, if you have a question for me, go to my website, hit the contact tab. You ask questions, I'll answer them. There might even become a part of the next show. And if they are, I'll select your question and send you some free cookbooks of love. So if you're loving what you hear in the kitchen, please leave a comment or feedback at either Stitcher, Google Play, or iTunes. I appreciate the feedback. I want to know what you like and what you don't like. I got big shoulders, so let me have it. Or anywhere you're listening, your thoughts and comments are really appreciated. Thank you very much. Our podcast is produced and engineered by Jason Lewis. Theme music by the Happy Diabetic Kitchen Band. And yours truly, Chef Robert, on the searing, blazing electric guitar. And of course, our kitchen mascots, Scout and Tucker. So thanks for tuning in, and let me leave you with this final thought. Mary Berry from the British Baking Show once said, cakes are healthy too. You just eat a small slice. So long for now, and remember, no one loves you more than me.